Hello, teachers, parents, and educational leaders, and welcome to this episode of Breaking Down the B.E.S.T. Now, during this episode, you will get a peek into the members-only area where I have tons of resources to help you make math fun, make it click, and make it stick. There should be a link somewhere around this video where you can learn more. All right, now that we got that out of the way, let's get to it, and let's break down the standard. Welcome to Breaking Down the B.E.S.T, a video series dedicated to breaking down Florida's B.E.S.T standards for math. So grab something to write with and maybe even a snack. This looks good. And don't forget to put a smile on your face. There you go, I see you. And let's dive into today's B.E.S.T standard. Hey everybody, my name is Sarah McCarthy and I'm super pumped that you are taking time out of your crazy busy schedule to join me as we break down the following standard. All right, today's standard is MA.3.M.1.2. That's right, and this standard says to solve real-world problems involving any of the four operations. That means addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division with whole number, lengths, masses, weights, temperatures, or liquid volume. For instance, in this example, we've got a 2-liter bottle of soda right there, so that would be an example of liquid volume. By the way, this document that I am marking up all over is not something that I created. This is something that the Florida Department of Education releases to the public. It's available for you to view, and I'm just showing you how I take what they provide to break down the standards in order for me to create resources that are strategically aligned to the standards for you, okay? That's all I'm doing here. Let's take a look at these benchmark clarifications. So it says, within this benchmark, it is the expectation that responses include appropriate units. Problem types are not expected to include measurement conversions because we're saving that party for 4th and 5th grade, all right? Instruction includes the comparison of attributes measured in the same units. And units are limited to yards, feet, inches. Those are customary length units. We also have meters, centimeters. Those are our metric units measuring length. We've got pounds and ounces. Those are our weight units. We have kilograms and grams. Those are the mass units that we'll be using. Degrees Fahrenheit, degrees Celsius. So I know that in MA.3.M.1.2, the standard right before this one, we mentioned we're not sure about degrees Fahrenheit, degrees Celsius. Are we going to be using both? Well, this right here mentions degrees Celsius. So make sure your students have exposure to that too. We also have gallons, quarts, pints, and cups. Those are the customary measurements for liquid volume, and liters and milliliters are the metric units for liquid volume. All right, so some connecting benchmarks. We've got these fraction standards, which are our unit fractions, even though I'm actually surprised that they're mentioning this here because it says that we're expected to keep them as whole numbers, because we don't add or subtract or multiply with fractions. So interesting that they put that one there. I'm not really sure I understand why. They also have the plotting, ordering, comparing fractions and equivalent fractions. Again, kind of curious as to why they made that a connecting standard when we're performing operations that are only with whole number values. So I don't know about that. This AR.1.2 standard is real world problems with the 4 operations, and this one definitely connects because we're kind of doing the same thing. We're just focusing on the measurement aspect of those real world problems. Also quadrilaterals, perimeter and area, that involves measuring things. So I understand why that would be there too. Where are they coming from? That's what our vertical alignment is. In 2nd grade, students performed 1- and 2-step measurement problems with addition and subtraction. So now we're just bumping it up to include multiplication and division on that 3rd grade level. Okay, and then in 4th grade, like I mentioned before, we're going to break into measurement conversions, which is super fun. This is the purpose and instructional strategies section. And it says that the purpose of this benchmark is for students to apply what they have learned about measurement to solve real-world problems. We need to make sure that they understand what they're doing. They understand the context of the problem and what the quantities represent. So really making sure to break down those word problems so that way they make sense, which is what they're talking about here with comprehending those problems. Common misconceptions, what did they mention? That students struggle to identify benchmarks on a number line. That could be true. So making sure that we're creating lots of opportunities for students to measure often and receive feedback. Try estimating solutions in different models before solving. Maybe showing problems without the quantities represented so they can really understand what the problem is asking. And it says students can struggle to identify when a real-world problem requires 2 steps to solve, and sometimes they'll only complete one of the steps. So a big part of this standard, because of that real-world problem sense, is making sense of the problem, which is what we do in taking on the B.E.S.T. We read it at least 3 times. I'm constantly saying read those problems at least 3 times. The first time to get the gist of the problem. The second time to read each sentence at a time, break it down, make sense of what's going on, draw it out, and then reading it again to make sure we've answered all parts of the problem. So up here where they said without their quantities, I mentioned that I saw this in the strategies to support tiered instruction, where they block out the quantities and instead put the word sum. I love that. I've used this before with students and it really does help them. So I would encourage you to do that too. Definitely take a look at this for just some more help, really targeted breaking down. And then here, notice that this is a 23 times 8 problem. We have 23 students and each student needs 8 milliliters. So this is a 3rd grade problem where we're using what we've learned before to master that. So really, I think going back up here to those relating standards, I think I would have thrown in some of the NSO standards instead of the fractions, because we're not really dealing with fractions right there. These are some extra practice problems for you to take a look at so you can kind of see what the standard looks like in action. But what I want to do is show you what you have access to that is strategically aligned to the standard. So here we are at the home page. Click on Members Enter here. Click Taking on the B.E.S.T. 3rd grade, and the strand we want is in the measurement strand, so M. And then we're on 3.M.1.2, real world problems with measurement. All right, so whatever your membership is, bronze, silver, gold, everybody has access to the video lessons and the printable. For this one, there's 1 video with 3 practice problems that we break down in the video, okay? So I'm going to click on that one. All right, we know it's a video lesson because of that video icon. Here we've got, we're talking about yards. How much further must he travel? Here we're talking about cups of water. And then here we're talking about degrees Fahrenheit. So you can see we're hitting the length, the liquid volume, and the temperature of the standard, okay? So there's your video lesson for the bronze resource, just 1 for the standard. But if you have the silver plan, you have access to a lot more practice with the standard because we know students are going to need lots of practice. So if you click here, you've got principles, answer keys, and the math misconception mystery video that we'll come back to in just a second. I just clicked on printables. They'll load, and here's what you've got. Okay, so that's the same bronze video lesson is what pops up first. And then you have extra practice. So here we have pounds of potatoes we're talking about. Here we have meters, milliliters. So you can see they're getting more practice, not just 1 practice, but 2 practice pages, okay? With an answer key, so students are encouraged to draw it out and all of that. All right, so then you have your math missions page, which is a math task. We've got pounds of food that's collected and we're analyzing this chart, really taking a look at it. And finally, we have another video. That's this video right here, the Math Misconception Mystery. You just click play and I will guide you through the whole process. So what will happen is I'll let students know that they can solve this problem on their own. You can see here it says Fuad has 12 nails the same size as the one below. About how long are the nails if they are in a straight line? So students will have to solve this problem on their own. Then there are 4 characters that will solve that same problem. Those characters are just me dressed up in silly costumes, silly accents. 3 of the characters will make a mistake that students tend to commonly make, and only one of them has the correct answer. So it's a really cool way to get your students talking and thinking and listening to the reasoning of others and really diving deep into that error analysis. It's super awesome. Then they'll complete this detective report, justifying who the most reasonable answer belongs to, and then also analyzing the work of the other 3 characters. Okay, students really love math misconception mysteries. And if you have the gold plan, you have access to everything. You can go back to your bronze and your silver resources at any time, but in your gold plan, if you are a gold member, you have access to the mini assessment, the answer key to the mini assessment, this Breaking Down the Best episode, which is right here with all of your resources, and it's also ad-free. Now these videos that you're watching are also available on YouTube. They just might have ads if you're watching it on YouTube. Just a nice little perk of being a gold member. But if you are a gold member, it's because you wanted the mini assessments and McCarthy Math 155. Here's an example of the mini assessment that you can use as a mini assessment or a practice test or whatever it is that you want to use it for. But you can see the variety of question types. We've got a variety of units going on. All right. There's also the answer key right there that you can click on. And then McCarthy Math 155. This is a daily math intervention aligned to the Common Core standards. Now, if you have this membership, you know that it's geared strategically and specifically to the B.E.S.T standards. But as I was creating the new program, I had so many schools and teachers asking me to please include McCarthy Math 155 because it has 155 video lessons for each grade level. So if we click here and we go to 3rd grade, let's see. I think in measurement and data there are some questions here. So liquid volume questions, questions about mass. I believe that a lot of the questions that had to be asked for Common Core involved subtraction. So how many more, how many fewer, things like that. But still you're using mass questions. Use questions involving liquid volume. So plenty to pull from here for this one. Okay, so you can see what's there. And also if you're looking for any extra help with place value, addition, subtraction, multiplication, that is why you have the gold plan. You have lots and lots of practice here to make sure your students are building those confidence muscles, okay? All right, I think that's it. So with that said, I hope that breaking down this standard today made sense for you. Now you can see what it is that students are going to be expected to do, and you know what resources you have with your different level of membership, whatever it is that you have, okay? Before we go, let me remind you that what you choose to do with your life every day, it really does matter. Thank you so much for showing up for your students, for showing them what your best looks like so you can inspire them to step into the best version of themselves, for showing them that we are never finished learning and growing and that we are constantly a work in progress. And with that said, I will see you on the next Breaking Down the B.E.S.T episode, y'all, all right? Bye. Okay, so I know that I just said goodbye for now, but I'm gonna ask you to do one more thing, okay? If you enjoyed this episode, please consider sharing it with your teacher friends or other leaders in education. That's how I get to continue doing what I love to do, which of course is supporting you all to the best of my ability. All right, for real now, bye.